This is what the new Charlottesville skate park looked like on the second opening weekend. And this is what the indoor skate park Rye Airfield looks like on a winter weekend. To a newcomer, this can be incredibly intimidating. But come back in the morning or on a weekend and you can have the whole park to yourself. Being confined to a small space may seem rather limiting, but this is what forces riders to ride the same features over and over. In mountain biking, riders rarely see the same features twice in one ride. This means they often never take the time to get comfortable going over certain features. Skate parks will force you to session features, and this is what will eventually help you master it. Most major cities, and even some smaller cities, have a dedicated skate park. You probably have one near you. Just like walking into a gym for the first time, entering a skate park may feel intimidating and sometimes downright scary. Not only is it an unfamiliar setting, but there are different customs. A few weekends ago, I took my girlfriend Haley to a skate park for the first time. This experience gave me a good understanding of some of the challenges riders face when going to a skate park for the first time. The first thing you'll notice when you go to a skate park is that everybody is dressed casually. No lycra, no jerseys, no trainers. Just a plain t-shirt, jeans, and some grungy skate shoes. Riders tend to wear tighter fitting jeans to prevent them from getting caught on their bike. My personal preference is to wear stretch jeans for better mobility. Any set will do, but the ones I wear are made by our channel sponsor, Fox Racing. Stretch jeans are plenty durable and provide ample flexibility. As tempting as it may be, leave your clipless shoes at home. You know, those clipless shoes that have clips? Anyway, you will need to dodge rogue skateboards and jump off your bike at any moment. Bike-specific flat shoes have a bit more rigidity, grip, and support compared to regular flat shoes, but anything with a waffle-style tread will work just fine. As far as pads go, many indoor parks will require the use of knee pads, elbow pads, and a helmet. Whether or not those rules are actually enforced is another question. I like to run my knee pads underneath my pants, which looks stealthy and helps keep them in place. On the subject of helmets, these two helmets may look similar. However, there's a big noticeable difference. On the inside, this specific model uses a soft EVA style foam, which I can basically fully compress with just my fingers. Helmets that are designed for biking, such as my Fox Flight, will use a much denser layer of EPS foam. It will basically feel like styrofoam. Whatever brand or model helmet you choose, make sure it's safe and rated for what you're doing. You can find links to all the products I mentioned in the description below. As far as bikes go, the ideal bike is one with the fewest breakable parts and one that doesn't limit your range of motion. If you have access to a BMX bike or a dirt jumper, those are usually the best bets. Even though I grew up riding BMX, these days I feel more at home on dirt jumpers, such as the one I'm riding. This La Bamba is made by my sponsor, GT. Compared to a regular hardtail mountain bike, dirt jumpers have a few key differences. The top tube is much lower, which gives you greater range of motion. The chainstays are much shorter, making it easier to lift the front wheel. And in the front, there's much less suspension, which is also set up more firm. That being said, regardless of what bike you bring, you'll want to run more tire pressure than out on the trail. 45 to 60 psi is a good range to prevent pinch flats and keep your tire from rolling. Morning and weekdays are when the park will be most empty and you can learn at your own pace. But show up on a weekend to a popular skate park and you'll likely experience complete mayhem. Believe it or not, there's actually a rhythm to the madness. This is a good time to talk about general skate park etiquette. These are universal but unspoken rules that govern any skate park, but also apply to bike parks. Everything in a skate park was built to be ridden, so don't sit on the ledges. Just because it looks like a bench doesn't mean it's for sitting. Be mindful of where you wait. Definitely don't camp out on or in front of popular features. Though this will entirely depend on the skate park. Some skate parks are built better than others and will have a better place to wait. so you're gonna have to use your best judgment. When waiting your turn, stay off to the sides and try to make yourself as small as possible. To get you started, here's a brief rundown of places you shouldn't hang out. You also want to avoid hogging the park and doing marathon laps. Around 20 seconds is a pretty long run. If you want to do anything longer, come back when the park is less busy. On another note, everybody is there to have fun, so be mindful of that and be sure everybody gets their turn. Another big no-no is crossing the park against the traffic flow. Doing this is unpredictable and leads to collisions. Instead, go around the edges, but if you must cross the park in the middle, keep a very watchful eye. Anytime I go to a new park, I like to take a step back and identify what the popular lines are and where people like to hang out. The locals most often know the best lines, and those are generally a good place to start. But a word of caution, just because something looks easy doesn't mean it is. Sometimes things that you think will be a simple incline are actually a gap. On a related note, dropping into a quarterpipe may look straightforward, but this has gotten a lot of new riders into trouble. I'll come back to this. Skate parks are most often made out of wood, concrete, or metal. The surface of these materials is smooth, but also very slippery. It should be known that water and skate parks don't mix. If your tires or shoes get wet, stay off the rims, or this will happen. Another thing to keep in mind is everything looks smaller from below when you're not on a bike. I'd recommend not climbing to the top of the highest feature first. Start small and progressively work your way up. So, where do you start? Well, here's a list of the 3 first things I think you should learn first when entering a skate park. You'll notice that experienced riders don't pedal all that much. They use a technique called pumping to get around the park. I made a video on this very subject a while ago, which I'll link below. The gist of it is you can generate speed on the declines by pushing into the downslopes, and maintaining speeds on the inclines by getting light. You can think of it like a trampoline or a swing set. Any downslope is an opportunity to generate speed. Challenge yourself to see how long you can go without pedaling. Next up, it's useful to know how to carve bowls, half pipes, and quarter pipes. Start off by making wide turns and gradually work your way up in height. When you feel your momentum slow down, that's your cue to change directions. If you feel like you're fighting gravity, you will eventually slip out. The next logical progression is adding in a hop. The wider turn you make, the less turning in the air you will need to do. This is the progression you can eventually use to learn how to air out quarter pipes. Learning to drop into a quarter pipe is a rite of passage. This little movement may be more advanced than you realize. Beforehand, you'll want to be comfortable rolling into banks of different sizes and steepnesses. On small quarter pipes under 4 feet, you can sometimes get away with rolling straight in. But on larger quarter pipes, to avoid smashing our chainrings into the coping, approaching at an angle will give our chainring more clearance. However, most quarter pipes have this slippery metal coping that sticks up above the deck. To avoid slipping out, we need to turn the wheel right before it reaches the coping. That way, our tire will cross the coping at a perpendicular angle. More experienced riders may pick their front wheel up, and sometimes jump over the coping altogether. Either way, once the front wheel has crossed the coping, shift your weight back and stay centered over your pedals. As your back wheel crosses the coping, be sure to absorb it with your legs, hips, and arms. Notice at the crux of this movement, I'm in a full squatting position with my legs bent, chest down low, and arms extended out in front of me. So get comfortable with this movement on a smaller quarter pipe before working your way up.
I didn't tell her anything, but she just dropped an opposite.
Learning how to ride a skate park will open up a whole new world of riding potential. If you know anybody who could benefit from the tips in this video, please share this with them. And if you have any tips that I missed, share yours in the comments below. As always, my name is Phil Metz. Thanks for playing bikes with me today as well as dealing with my congested voice, and I'll see you next time.